call, we have a public hearing for the equalization tank bonding because we had to change the number, so we had a resolution for that last week. This is, so can I have a motion to go into the public hearing on the equalization tank bonding, please?
I make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the town supports the submission of New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act application on behalf of the town for the replacement of the town of Seneca Falls wastewater treatment plant, etc. Be it further resolved that the town shall provide local matching funds totaling at least 75% of the project cost in the form of in-kind services or cash contributions appropriated and obligated through state funding or other approved financing or funds in accordance with the bond resolution. And be it further resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board supports the project and submission of the 2021A WIA grant application on behalf of the town to improve water quality and protect public health. Would anybody like to speak to this at the public hearing? Could I have a motion to close the public hearing on bonding?
I make the motion.
The motion, second by Don. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay. Okay, you gotta sign that. And Randy, we'll make copies of everything and then hand them off to you, okay?
That's great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, town clerk group, could you please take roll call?
Mike Ferrara,
Present.
Dave Delantis,
Here.
Steve Churchill,
Here.
Don Dyson. Here. Doug Avery.
Here.
Dan Horn.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Just want to make note for the camera that Councilman DeLatis is present. He's on my cell phone, so he's here and voting. He's not able to make the meeting due to some upcoming surgery. So Councilman DeLatis, we wish you the best of luck on the upcoming surgery, okay? Yes, sir. Okay, we're going to skip letter A for the time being. Under new business, we're going to appoint Bernard Donegan Financial Consultant Services Equalization Tank. These are, Bernard Donegan is our financial advisors. These are formalities that we need to complete. They have to be submitted with our WIA grant, which is going in hopefully tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Okay. If they don't, then we're all in trouble. So can I have a motion to accept Bernard Donegan as the financial consultant services for the equalization tank? Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, since we just got this, what are they gonna do in a day?
I want to let Rhonda and Peter, and this is all stuff part of our WIA grant type of thing. These are just forms that have to be submitted with our
Do
application.
we have to contract somebody in order for that WIA grant to be filed? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, so there's finance pieces and working on finance applications through EFC, which all of these things, all of the grant components are going through. So they've been able to help us put together all of the financing that's needed, whether that's the bonding piece or the finance application that will go through EFC to get things like hardship or 0% interest. And these are all things that are required through the grant process through EFC.
So are they already, what I think I just heard is they've already done some work for
You
us?
guys already have been working with them.
We meet probably 5 times on this project alone, just for the equalization tank, and it's a team of people, Peter, Rhonda, Chuck Bastian from Bernard, Donegan, Cammy, we meet all the time to finalize the project and the engineering work and.
So what are we doing that's different tonight? Why are we, there's 4?
Just has to be submitted with the application type of thing. It's a formality from the WIA grant people. It's just a formality. And there's 4 of them, okay? There's 2 for the 2 for the equalization tank and 2 for the Kingdom Road pump station.
So this is part of that project, because I don't
Correct.
recall anything in
It is.
nothing budgeted for this particular.
The projects are all separate entity from the main budget.
It's in the cost estimates that we put together, Steve, for that part of it. So the main gist of what BPD will do is not, the finance application is easy, but it's essentially, it's coordinating the short-term financing with the anticipatory note, the long-term, closing of that, transition to the long-term bond, making payments and disbursements from EFC, making, look at the MWB reporting, that type of thing. So they kind of do the coordination. So once the project hits the ground, basically, really, well, both of these, it's going to be more construction. That's kind of where they will be the, providing getting the disbursements from EFCs, because essentially EFC will cut a large check for the town to kind of help fund the project in the first few years.
All right, yeah, it would be nice to kind of get this stuff a little bit earlier so we could understand it, but thanks for.
Packets were out yesterday.
Did you get the email I sent you?
We got the email that had the agenda.
And she
And
said,
then I also
if you
read it.
want to come in and pick up your packet, which is
Oh,
sitting
no,
on the counter.
I did not see that.
It's
What?
right underneath with the email that said they would be on the ledge if I
I
wasn't.
did not. But then again, I can.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Rhonda, do I have to do a roll call
Yeah.
for these? Yes?
I just
Okay.
said yes.
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Michael Farrar,
Yes.
John Dyson? Yes. Douglas Avery?
Yes.
David DeLuis?
Yes.
And Stephen Churchill.
Okay, you shouldn't need a roll call if there's no dissenting vote.
Steve, I'm just following what my advisors are telling me.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think-
that,
Yeah, if there's a dissenting vote, then it certainly
I
makes
don't know.
sense, so you can find out who
I don't,
dissented.
whatever you want me to do.
I would say for our grant purposes, just because I turn in all of
Okay,
these
so
signed
I'll
pieces.
I'll
it would be
continue to do
good
roll
have
call 3 more
Yes.
times, okay. Can I have a motion to submit, to approve Bernard Donegan Services, financial consulting services in connection with the town's proposed pump station project and other financial matters? Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I got to do roll call. I apologize. I got to do roll call again. Okay. There you go.
Let's get these forms together. Okay, Michael Farrar,
Yes.
David DeLuis,
Yes.
Steve Churchill,
Yes?
John Dyson? Yes. Douglas Avery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion, please, to appoint Bernard Donegan Associates to letter for municipal advisor service in connection with the town's equalization flow tank project and other financial matters. This is a different thing, but the same project. We have one for the Kingdom Road and one for the equalization tank. So I have a motion for that, please.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion by Don, seconded by Councilman Galeas. And I don't think I need a roll call here. No. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. This one's all set.
I can stop first.
This one's just my signature, nothing more.
Okay.
And could I have a motion to appoint Bernard Donegan as municipal finance consultant for the Kingdom Road project? And again, this will not require a roll call. Yes, it does. This one does. Okay? Anyway, so appoint Bernard Donegan to these services.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Avery,
Second.
second by Don. Any further discussion on this one? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I need a roll call. Nikki, I'm sorry. On this one, there's a roll call sheet on there.
Michael Farrar,
Aye.
John Dyson. Aye. Michael Avery,
Aye.
David Delanis, Steve Churchill,
Aye.
I gotta sign the last page.
and we'll put this into everybody. Finish the packet.
Okay. There you go. Okay, we are now going to move into adopting the 2022 budget. We have Susan Porter would like to speak to us before the budget. We go to that, right, Susan?
If that's all right.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll try and be quick. Do you want me to
Take all the
stay?
time you need. You can stay right there. You can do whatever you want.
All right, I just wanted to take this opportunity to address you before you finalize the budget. And I wanted to thank you all for your service to the town, because over the last year, I have witnessed how many hours that you put in, and I recognize it, and I appreciate it. I'd also like to thank Supervisor Ferrara for inviting me to sit on the budget committee that explored the landfill's funding role in the town's operating budget, as well as fellow committee members Brad Jones and Bev Werfel. And I really wanted to thank Bev, especially, who was very patient with my questions and helped me gain a better understanding of a pretty complicated issue. And I'm here tonight not as a member of that committee, but just as somebody who lives in the town and who voted and who tried to understand over the past year how our budget works. Unfortunately, being a part of that committee never really stood a chance this year because of the election and when the landfill's future was front and center at the ballot box. And so there wasn't much bandwidth, I think, for anybody to take a hard look at how to honestly extract landfill funding from the operating budget. I volunteered for the committee because I felt it was important to not just say, I was against the long-term presence of the landfill. I mean, if I was going to say that, I wanted to understand and forge a path to live without the landfill. I think it's easy to say I don't want it there, but if you don't want it there, how are you going to survive? Obviously, the voters are willing to survive with the landfill with a long time in exchange for financial support. As Mr. Avery said in his concession statements, he has a different vision, as do I, but the election stands as it should. That said, I would still argue that I believe there are benefits to reducing the town's reliance on landfill funding in the operating budget. If the town wants agency and independence, it can only do so by not allowing landfill funding to subsidize the operating budget at an increased level each year, and any more than it already does. Like a battered wife can't easily leave her marriage when her husband controls the checkbook. And maybe that's a little dramatic, but I do think there are real benefits to the town trying to be in charge of its checking account. And if the landfill funds exponentially support the town's budget over the next 30 years or forever long they're here, you know, by the time they leave, it's going to be impossible to survive without them. And if a worst case scenario happens where they're unable to operate for whatever reason, if there's a DEC violation or whatever, I mean, that money doesn't come in, you know, it doesn't come in. So I just would encourage all board members going forward and the new ones to study the budget, think about multi-year plans, look at the use of reserve funds, the designated reserve funds, how much is there, what they can be used for, how you want them used, and this tax stabilization, which the town the last 2 years, I believe, has begun to raid is not a good word, but they raid that fund to stabilize the tax rate. And so if that use of that reserve, the tax stabilization continues at the rate it's been for the last 2 years, it'll be gone in 5 or 6 years. So that's a big revenue piece of your budget that's going to be gone. And our committee looked at that fund as trying to take that money and replace it in a graduated way, use it to take the landfill money out and replace it with the tax stabilization and raise the taxes. So if you just put it in the budget and you don't raise the taxes and you don't take the landfill money out, it's, you know, I don't see that as a viable path myself. So I guess I'm just, you know, having my little closure with my year. But I still would argue that I think it's a good practice not to stack your operating budget with landfill money. And I have my notes and my understandings. I'm willing to share them with anybody who wants to sit and have coffee with me. And, you know, I guess that's just my 2 cents before you pass the budget. So.
Thank you.
Thanks. Susan, thank you very much. As everyone knows, that Susan and Brad Jones spent, 10 meetings with myself and Beth, and we worked on a comprehensive plan moving us away from landfill revenue in the next 4 years. And it didn't necessarily happen this year, but we have a plan in place, and you make some very valid points, Susan, and I want to thank you for your service. It's not often that we get volunteers to come in and spend the kind of time that you spent in Doug. So please don't, or you and Brad, so please don't disappear. Hopefully we can make it work. So thank you. Okay, so we have to adopt the 2022 budget tonight. With some more pencil sharpening, I think, Bev, we're down to $12,000 above and beyond the tax cap limit, correct? So if we somehow reduce spending by $12,000 or increase revenue by $12,000, then we're going to get ourselves under the tax cap, and obviously could even get below, the 2%. The tax cap represents a 2% increase in the tax rate. Okay. I have a couple of things that I mentioned, but there's one major decision we have to decide tonight. In the budget, there is the zoning officer had put in the tentative budget and the preliminary budget to go to a full-time position versus the current status. And we never made that decision. We continue with other departments. And so now that's going to be a decision we have to make. If we keep it a full-time position, then, we'll still have to come up with $12,000. If you keep it where the current status is, that would probably take up most of the $12,000 needed to get us below the tax cap. So I will open up any discussion on that issue.
I'd like to see the money left in the budget to turn that position to full-time. I think we still need to make the determination not on dollars and cents, but on whether we need a full-time zoning code enforcement person. But if we take that money out of the budget, then we will never get to that study that look to see whether we really need somebody. I'd rather leave the money in the budget and have that option, and then do the study that will help us determine whether we need a full-time person or not. It's an important one. It's a very important one. Difficult one to leave understaffed. I don't know that we are, but there are things that are going on or that are not getting done. Question for you: why is it so important for us to get under the tax cap? We approved the motion giving ourselves permission to be above the tax cap.
It's not. I mean, it's not. It's not life and death, but it's something that I think if we had the opportunity to do that, why wouldn't we do that without?
Well, it depends on where those final cuts are made and what gets hit.
Right.
At some point, I mean, it's a public perception thing. It's a benchmark. But we can approve a budget that's a couple of tenths of a percent.
And if we go in that direction, I think there's one more step that we'd have to do, because we put off the fact that to implement the tax cap, because we said it at the last 2 weeks ago's meeting, if we're not, there's no need to make that next step. I'd have to wait for Pat to give me the final, but if everybody remembers, we put off making that final step for the tax cap until we decided about if we're going to keep the budget under the tax cap. So there's another official thing we have to do that hopefully Pat will be here in a moment to give us that advice, but there's nothing.
You would have to adopt that local law.
We'd have to adopt the local.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We've done everything but.
We
Adopt
had a
the
public
law.
hearing, but we haven't adopted the local
And
law.
then the last thing is, Susan's words set aside, one of the people who's going to sit on this board starting in January has she ran on a campaign of taking taxes back to pre-2018 levels, which means more or all of the landfill revenue is going to go back into the budget. We're still at 300,000 out, right?
I'm sorry.
We've diminished the amount of landfill revenue. 300,000
We're down to 1.1 million in the operating budget.
So what if it was 1.1?
We were 1.4,
whatever.
and that was the game plan with our committee, is to reduce it by $300,000 up until 2025.
Mike, I have a question. Sorry, Doug, were you done?
No, well,
Yeah.
to me, it's pretty clear to me with the direction we're going in for the next 15, 20 years. And so, you know, if we don't take out, if we leave, we take, instead of taking $300,000 out from landfill revenue compared to last year, we take $288,000, you know, whatever. I don't know that it matters. So, you know, we can stay under the tax cap, but I don't know, you know, that's a public perception thing. But I think money-wise, you know, starting with the 2023 budget, we're going to be swinging back the other way. And so while taking the $300,000 of the landfill revenue out of the budget was a good idea, and we worked hard to achieve that, I don't know in the long run it's going to matter. And so right now we've got $300,000 to play with.
Yeah, I don't know, in the long run, I mean, obviously I can't predict what's going to happen in the future and what the makeup of boards are going to be. That's obviously something down the road. So I know personally I would never be in favor of bringing the tax rate down to such a number that is not realistic, okay? There's so many other things that are needed with the revenue that we have coming in to take care of. As you know very well, being on the highway and water and sewer, there's millions and millions of dollars that need to be either allocated or funded through grants, et cetera, to start taking care of some of our infrastructure and drainage problems. So I think it needs to be a happy balance. To get back to your first point, I'm not opposed to keeping the zoning officer full-time. I think it's something that needs to be closely monitored. I think there's a level of work that needs to be done that I'm not quite sure is getting done what I would like to get done. So a conversation would have to be had, I think, to make sure we're getting to that point. There's a lot of hanging fruit out there that needs to be addressed in a more timely way and so forth, but that would certainly be a conversation that I would have moving forward with the position.
Right, but if we keep the position that if we take the dollars back out, then there's no conversation being had because the decision's made. I'd rather that decision be made on the requirements of the job. Yeah.
The 2% ceiling, I think the taxpayer get if the
I thought you were going to ask me something about the camera, I'm sorry.
No, I just, to the 2% ceiling, if you stay below that, the taxpayer gets some money back, if I'm not mistaken.
Who gets money back?
The taxpayer.
What do you mean?
You get a check from the state if you stay below that
You stay
ceiling.
below the tax cap,
Yes.
You get what?
some money back from the state.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
That's right.
The school, like.
And we don't get any state aid, so where do we get the money back? Do they send us a check?
Is it the
I
school?
think if the school, I think it's for the school tax.
I thought it was
I've gotten a check, the school has kept it under 2% for years. I get a check for like $280, $400.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I thought that's what the
No, I've
check
never
was
gotten a
for.
check.
I have.
You get a check from the state through the school district?
Yeah.
I don't know,
It
school
must be
district.
because of your exemption, you're over 65 exempt. Have you gotten one?
No,
Start-
I've never gotten one.
and it's never been associated with this. I mean, we obviously, you know, our back taxes have been flat for the last 3 years, so we've been under the tax cap.
I've never ever received anything. I don't know.
Okay,
And I know the town does not receive anything,
no.
okay? I know
The
that.
town doesn't.
I would like to leave the position.
I've got the check though.
Our zoning officer hasn't, or our codes officer hasn't been on the position that much for very long. I think we should try to move forward, see if we can make it a more efficient operation. And the other thing to note here, folks, is that, look, we can take money next year anytime on a contingency and change that position to full-time. So leave it at part-time, stay under the tax cap, second month of the year. If you want to change it to full-time, you change it to full-time, and it doesn't affect what you did to the tax cap. You know, at the end of the day, right, we budget, I don't know, operating budget, 5, 6, whatever it is, but by the end of the year, we spend another $1 million, easily, right? So it's the same thing. So let's stay under the tax cap by not changing that position, keep it part-time. If it turns out that we need to make it full-time, we can change it at any time.
Mike, would you tell us again, that position aside, what were the other things you were looking at as far as getting?
So in the budget right now, there's a fee for $2,100 for Finger Lakes Television to broadcast our meetings, okay? With the new website, we have 3 social media accounts. Right now, Kathy hosts the meeting on our YouTube account. That was her account. And, you know, people can go to the website and click on it and they can watch it. So, again, I don't believe that this is necessary. It's limited to only 2 hours of the meeting anyway, so if you had a 3-hour meeting, it's gone anyway. And hopefully the website, the new website will be launched hopefully Tuesday, and it'll be very user-friendly and very easy to function. I just think this is a waste of $2,100. So that would be one thing.
Okay, well, let's,
No.
I think that's a no-brainer, I think.
And the other thing is, this is personal. In the budget, we have $4,000 for the Ludovico Trail. Again, I think the nonprofit volunteer operating committee of the Ludovico Trail, for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into the political reasons, but basically cost the town of Seneca Falls taxpayers $1.5 million by now allowing that Kingdom Road sewer to go where it was supposed to go originally and went away, type of thing. And we still haven't broken ground. If that was all taken care of, that project would have been done and complete and at a much less expense. Plus, they're getting funds from the DRI, and I just think it's insulting to the taxpayers of Seneca Falls to give them $4,000 a year. But that's just my one man's opinion.
Well,
So-
any changes we made need to be done via resolution, because we've already passed the,
Yes, anything.
We haven't adopted the
well, once you've
framework,
adopted a
but-
preliminary budget,
We didn't adopt the preliminary budget.
then any changes to that, following the public hearing, has to be done by resolution. And I'm pretty sure. That's the way it was at the county for 8 years. Be nice if we had an attorney.
John, thoughts? Anything?
Because it's been presented to the public.
I agree with taking off the Finger Lakes for 2,100 and not giving them the 4,000.
Dave, any thoughts?
I agree with Steve
Steve on the part.
on making it
That
part-time.
subject has been, how many years we've been fighting over that? We even offered that money to go down through that fight.
We offered them money, we offered them to maintain the trail for the life of the trail. We offered to make it handicap accessible, all the above. So, any thoughts on the zoning position, Dave?
The zoning position, yeah, I think we should go to full-time.
Okay. I guess for the sake of trying to determine how we're going to shake out, Steve, I'll make a motion that we keep the zoning officer's position, or we make the zoning officer's position a full-time position. Deb, do you have the budget with you by any chance? I want to make sure it's official, that I have the proper number there.
Right, but if we're not, but if it's full-time in the budget, we don't have to take any action.
No, you don't-
I don't think so.
No. It would be for me to offer a resolution to
Lower it.
keep the position, a part-time position, and reduce the budgeted salary accordingly.
What's the dollar difference between full-time and part-time for him?
I think it's about 18,000.
16, well, let's see. $19,580.
Say one more time.
$19,500.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion, which would need a second to move,
What's the motion?
To lower that.
to
part-time.
keep the current position as part-time
I'll second it.
and make the adjustment to the budgeted salary accordingly, which would be the 19,000.
Motion by Steve, second.
Yes.
Second by Don. Any further discussion?
I have no problem with that. I mean,
Full-time?
No.
The motion, Dave, is to keep the position basically as a part-time position and remove it from the preliminary 2022 budget is a full-time position. Basically, that's the motion in a nutshell. So, you know, if you're voting for the motion, then you're voting to keep the position part-time. Okay. Any further, I'm sorry,
No, I was just gonna, you know, I don't mind, I would still like to see that decision be made aside from the budget. But we can go this route, and then if the decision is to make to improve it, or to increase it, I mean, that's fine. It's just a different way of doing the same thing, and it does solve all our problems that we have right in front of us tonight.
Okay, so all in favor of Steve's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I'm opposed. Dave, your vote?
No,
No. Okay. So that motion is carried 3-2, if I count right. Right? Aye, aye, and aye. Okay. So,
Wait a minute. Steve Churchill, Doug, and
Me.
Don,
vote to keep it part-time.
correct. Dave and I voted.
Dave DeLuis and you voted no. Got it.
Okay, so that basically takes care of that issue as far as any additional funds have to come out. I would still like to remove to keep it, I guess, in the tradition. I'm going to make a motion that we no longer contract with Finger Lakes Television to post our town meeting video. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
You could always go back to that, right, later if we.
But I think you're right. We've got so many alternative ways to.
Oh, no, I agree. I think it's the right thing to do, but, you know, if 500 people came out of the woodwork, you might need to rethink.
Okay. Now, in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So that is out. And I'm going to make a motion that we do not fund, at the cost of $4,000, the Ludovico Scale Trail, which is requesting for the next 2022 budget cycle. Have a second for that, please.
Second.
And any discussion on that?
The 4,000 is in the budget currently.
4,000 is in the budget.
I'm not going to support it because although there might be some animosity between the parties of the town and the folks that run the trail, I think the trail is a great benefit and asset to the town. There are a lot of folks that use it. Those green spaces, you know, are important. So for that reason, I don't think it's a big chunk of change, but I'm not going to support taking it out.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm with Steve. I just, it's too great a resource, and I know there are hard feelings, but my impression is the town went in like a bull in a china shop and tried to take it, and they dug their heels in. I can't blame them for that. I don't blame them for that. So I think just looking forward to helping to preserve that space, I think leave it in the budget.
Okay. All in favor of my resolution to remove it from the budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that resolution's passed 3-2. Councilman DeLeis, Dyson, and Ferrara. So, move that out of the budget. Okay. So, we're going to have a adopted budget, and you're going to give me the final numbers, and would you please share that with everybody? Could you do that before you leave tonight? I'm only kidding. But sometime, first thing in the morning, because I got to let Finger Lakes Times know, okay? Thank you.
So we have to
Okay,
vote
so we
to
have
adopt
to
the budget?
adopt the budget.
I know.
Okay.
I gotta get this town attorney around here or something. Okay, can we adopt the budget without knowing exactly what,
You
just adopted the changes that you made within it.
Which include the changes that we made. Adopt the preliminary budget with changes as made. Something like that.
all right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt the preliminary budget with the changes that we implemented tonight, which would be to keep the zoning officer's position part-time, remove $4,000 for the Ludovico Trail, and not expend $2,100 for the Finger Lakes Television to broadcast our meetings. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting, or making that adopted budget the real budget for 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, I have some resolutions here. I asked Jim to be here just in case, but these are things that he'll explain to you that are in the budget, but if we do it now, then he can get any orders. Basically, he's not, we can lock in 2021 prices, okay?
Which one is advertising?
Do we have a resolution?
Yes, we do. We got it on the
Highway Department would like to purchase 23 wheel trucks.
There's another one.
That's it. Took it over too quick. Okay, I'm sorry. So first resolution, whereas the Highway Department would like to be able to advertise for a motor equipment operator to be hired 1/1/2022, whereas one of our motor equipment operators leaving to the new highway superintendent in Tyre. Now therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the advertisement of a motor equipment operator to be hired by 1/1/2022. Have a motion?
So moved.
And Steve Churchill made the motion, Dave Delay seconded. Any questions for Jim? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Second resolution, whereas the Highway Department would like to purchase a 2023 six-wheel dump truck HV 507 from the Regional International for the sum of $89,782.16, and also purchase the body and plow equipment from Viking for the sum of $92,242.43. Total price of the truck is $182,024.59. Whereas this 2023 dump truck will replace the 2010 dump truck we now have. Now therefore be resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the purchase of a 2023 HV 507 dump truck from Regional International and the plow equipment from Viking for the total sum of $182,024.59. This truck is budgeted in 2022, and we are piggybacking off Onondaga contract 8996. Have a motion for that, please.
So move.
Make motion.
Moved by Doug Avery, second by Dave DeLeus. Jim, I think I summed it up okay.
Yeah.
Anything you have to add? If we put the order in, we're kind of locked into prices versus hitting
The prices are gonna go up after the first.
based on your conversations with the vendors.
Right. So the truck, they're telling me this truck probably won't be delivered to February or March of '23.
Right.
That's how far out they are. So the sooner we can get it in, as soon as I can tell them, then they can go ahead and put it in.
Okay. Any other questions for Jim? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution, the Highway Department would like to purchase 4 Bobcats. They will be purchased from Bobcat of the Finger Lakes for $41,000. Whereas these Bobcats will replace the old ones will be traded into Bobcat of the Finger Lakes. Now therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board is hereby authorized the purchase of 4 Bobcats to replace the old ones at the price of $41,000. These machines are budgeted for 2022 and under New York State contract. Have a motion for that, please.
Make motion.
Thank you, Dave. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions here?
Yeah, Jim, and how often do we turn those over? Every 4 years?
Every 2.
2 years?
Yeah.
So we're paying, all right.
5,000 a Bobcat over 2 years.
Yeah.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That's carried. Next resolution is to appoint a part-time part-time court clerk. And I just want to remind people that if we're going to get into difficult questions, comments, then I will make a motion that we go into executive session because it's personnel issues, some things, so just want to leave it at that. Whereas the resignation of Eileen Schmidt has left an opening in the court, and whereas the town board feels it appropriate to fill this position, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls authorize the filling of the vacant position and the hiring of Lisa Hochschild at the Seneca Falls Town Court at 25 hours per week and a starting wage of $17.49 per hour effective November 29, 2021. Pardon me? I added the name. You gotta, we're gonna appoint somebody, I gotta appoint it by name. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I make the motion.
Okay, and I second that. We left the regular meeting with checking further resumes. I checked with Judge Kelly, who's here. I did some checking myself, so I feel very comfortable seconding this resolution. Any discussion?
I talked with Judge Kelly and Judge Lasher too.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. I have a resolution here, Seneca Pipe and Paving, 38 Miller Street. Whereas it was required to clean out the storm drain on Miller Street to prevent backup of storm water into residents' properties, whereas the pipe near 38 Miller Street was beyond just needing a clean-out plan, whereas the pipe in question is the property of the town of Seneca Falls. Therefore, be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board authorize Seneca Pipe and Paving to repair the town of Seneca Falls storm drain at or near 38 Miller Street at a cost not to exceed $17,500. The project to be funded by a transfer from the contingency account A1990.400 to Storm Drains Miscellaneous Project A814.401 to the amount of $17,500. Have a motion for that, please.
I make a motion.
Motion by Don, second by Doug. This is not to exceed $17,500. We fully anticipate that Jim and members of the Highway Department will assist in the project. I think it'll be significantly less based on my conversation with Jim, and we'd like to get started right away and take care of that problem as we move on to other problems. This is a short-term fix. We've already started the engineering review of that area, which we approved a couple of weeks ago. That'll be the long-term fix for that particular neighborhood. But certainly there needs to be a strategic drainage plan happening soon in 2022. But this will help alleviate some of the problems with the water in that area. Any questions or discussion?
Do we know how long of a section we're replacing?
60 foot.
60 foot? All right, pretty significant.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any word from,
He's on his way. I texted him.
we can't adjourn because we still got one more piece of business to take care of. Nikki, if you want to start making copies of these to give to Rhonda, that would be good. Stu, thanks for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You miss us or wife out to dinner tonight or?
No, she misses me more.
Good luck tomorrow.
So we're pulling the meeting right now for our youth.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff,
Sarah?
stop in my office, there's something in there for you.
In the office?
Sarah, you can.
Susan,
Okay.
thanks for coming.
No need for you to stick around. We just got to do one more item here
Okay.
for the, thank you though.
She wants to fix the budget right now, she should have it any
Okay.
minute.
Yep.
Like, that's, got some 10 minutes.
10 minutes out?
Make a copy of these. That's all.
All right, I'm going to temporarily, have a motion to temporarily adjourn the meeting for a few more minutes.
Recess.
Thank you. Recess.
Second.
Ken is here. Okay, recess is over.
We had a great time.
So we're at 3% increase instead of 4%.
Over my face.
And David's on the.
David is online. Okay, so we have to do some more housekeeping for this bond. So I have a resolution in order after public hearing authorize increase and improvement of facilities under town law 202-B, whereas the town and the board of Seneca Falls previously requested Barton LaJudas engineers duly licensed by the state of New York to prepare a map plan and estimate cost for the improvement of facilities of the town of Seneca Falls sanitary sewer system consisting of the Bridgeport Sewer District, Seneca Falls Sewer District, and West Seneca Falls. Whereas the said map plan and estimated costs are on file in the town clerk's office, whereas said project has been determined to be a type 1 action under the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, whereas the town board adopted an order calling a public hearing thereon and calls a notice of such hearing to be published and posted in the manner provided in section 193 of the town law, stated that the town board would meet to hear all persons interested in the subject matter at 130 Overton Street on this day, November 16th at 5 p.m. Whereas the public hearing was held at the time and place aforesaid in the manner described, whereas the town board has become aware of the grant and funding opportunities for the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, including the Clean Water State Revolving Program. Now therefore, upon the evidence given at the public hearing prescribed herein is hereby determined as follows. The notice of the public hearing was posted. The construction of the improvements here above described in public interest. The cost of such improvements will be appropriated among the districts. Barton LaJudas engineers are hereby directed to prepare definite plans. The town supervisor is hereby authorized to submit an application on behalf of the town. The town supervisor may authorize any required local match required with respect to the financing of grants awarded to the town for the project. The town supervisor is hereby designated as the authorized representative of the town for all aspects of the project, including all application and district financing. The town clerk is hereby directed to record a certified copy of this order in the office of the clerk of the county of Seneca and the office of New York State Comptroller within 10 days pursuant to town law 195. By order of the town board of the town of Seneca Falls, New York, this order should take effect immediately. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Okay, Steve made the motion, you can second it. Any questions for Pat, Rhonda, or Pete?
I'll just point out to the board that this is the order that would be as a result of a public hearing that was conducted earlier in this meeting. And it's the one section of law that's referenced 202B, the town law 202B. That's the section of law that authorizes a town board to make improvements within an already existing district. And that's what this is doing. And so this is the order after the public hearing being conducted.
Okay, Nick, you gotta put Steve in, you gotta put Dave in here. Okay.
Yeah, I got one right here for the door.
You got a copy.
You put Steve in?
Steve made the motion, seconded by Dave Deleuze. Can I keep this for my record or no?
Yes, you.
Okay.
That requires a roll call, it looks like.
Yep.
Well, we're not there. We're not to that end.
We're not to that
There's
one yet.
certainly no harm in doing a roll call vote on this. This is the first 2 pages.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Bond resolution of the town of Seneca Falls, New York adopted on November 16th, authorizing the construction of a new equalization tank for the Seneca Falls sanitary sewer system at an estimated maximum cost of $6,840,000, appropriating said amount thereof. Therefore, in authorizing the issuance of up to $6,840,000 of bond anticipation notes and serial bonds of the town to pay the cost of the project. Whereas, can I have a motion for this, please?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Motion by Don Dyson, second by Doug Avery. Any discussion or questions?
This is the part that deals with the money. It authorizes the bonding, and this has the updated figures that were the subject of the, so it's consistent with the new plan, a new report for this project as opposed to the one that was done last year. This is updating using the new numbers because this project got more expensive. However, this is, and we're here today at this special meeting, so this can all be done in time to get this into the grant application with the state. And so this is a requirement for that, but that's why we're here on a special meeting rather than waiting a month for the state grant deadlines.
Thank you. Any questions, further discussion?
Is there going to be any infrastructure money, now that that bill's passed, that's going to help us with some of these projects? Maybe you have any?
Hopefully.
That's a good question for those guys.
No, I think they,
It's
state
third.
water, I think, is doubled from New York State next year, and I think drinking water is along the same lines too, not even more than double. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of money flowing. Beautiful.
And I think a lot of things that we have in the hopper in the congressional district with Tom Reed, that pending funding, I think a lot of those things will be funded, you know.
That's absent, yeah, that earmark, I don't know, that might be one and done. I don't know if that earmark program's gonna last, but that's not part of the infrastructure.
Right.
That's separate, that's the budget.
No pressure, Rhonda.
No pressure at all, right?
Okay, this requires a roll call, so Town Clerk Claire, would you please take a roll call on this vote?
Michael Ferrara?
A.
Okay.
Yes.
Different.
It's a different kind of night.
Yes.
Doug Avery?
Yes.
Steve Churchill?
Yeah.
David Delaney?
Dave? Yes.
Okay.
Folks, am I done with the housekeeping?
We need the supporting resolution next. So we're done with this piece that Pat brought, but then there's that supporting letter A that Nikki already has for this evening that we needed to do. That we skipped over because we needed to do the bottom one first.
You only brought one cup of coffee. Okay, I have another resolution. Town of Seneca Falls, New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act resolution to support an authorization for clean water grant application, excess flow tank. Whereas, a whole lot of whereas, and be it further resolved that the town shall provide local matching funds totaling at least 75% of the project cost. Be it further resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board supports the project and submission of the 2021 REA grant application on behalf of the town to improve water quality and protect public health. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Avery, second by Councilman Ferrara. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody's opposed, so carried. Have a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion,
Second.
second, and then I think we're good until
December something. 7.
There you go. Okay, thanks, folks. Dave,